Listen, I want to start out with just a quick talk for everybody who might be listening or here live or either watching it later. And just a thought that I had as I was exploring nature and realizing how, and I'm completely guilty of what I'm talking about. So don't anybody think that I'm talking about any of you. I'm really talking about myself, and that is how I complicate things unnecessarily. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with the client, if I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with myself, very often I will go down so many rabbit holes. I might utilize the AL scanner and start trying to pick apart different parts of it. I might do some muscle testing and muscle test for this and muscle test for that, and literally just go on an endless loop. I might start doing some face analysis, some ear analysis. I might do a urine analysis. I might do all of these different things, but sometimes I don't check foundational things, things that are so taken for granted that very often we forget how important they are. And I started thinking about what made me think about this. Well, a couple of things made me think about it. First, I was utilizing this on myself and my daughter, just trying to figure out a couple of things. But I was looking at the grass outside, and I was thinking, um, in order for this grass to grow, there are some very simplistic things that are needed. We need rain or water, so we need moisture. We need oxygen, and so, you have the air that's blowing. We need sunlight or power. And with those fundamental things, every season, new grass grows because the foundation for the grass to grow has been laid. You have seeds that were planted, and there's an entire ecosystem that's happening underneath the ground that you're not necessarily aware of. Well, some people are, but most people don't pay any attention to what's happening under their feet, especially if it's underneath the ground. It's almost like there's nothing happening down there, but there's a whole world happening down there, a whole ecosystem. But if you ever wanted to figure out why grass wasn't growing, and you forgot that there has been no water or rain, if you've isolated the ground so that there could be no sunlight, if you uh, uh, were to put something over the ground where oxygen or air couldn't get through, it would be really silly to try to figure out whether or not you have planted the right seeds. Because the reality is, you can have the perfect seed, but without the environment for the plant to grow, or the grass to grow, or the orange tree to grow, or the grapevine to grow, the specific things that it needs, the fundamentals: air, water, sunlight. Without the fundamentals, you're never going to get down to those things. And most of us realize that on a level with plants, if we don't water our plants, we expect them to die. If we don't feed and water and give our animals water, we expect them to not thrive. But very often, when it comes to our own health, we try to figure out what's going on. Why do I have this rash? Why do I have this stomach ache? Why am I sneezing? Why am I coughing? And the very fundamental, when I went to naturopathy school, one of our first class was a class on water, where we learned how actually important water is as a transport for everything in the body. Water, just clean, pure water. So if you're taking supplements and you normally take them with water, the water is being used to transport the nutrients down, and then hydration is necessary in the cells to get that nutrition into the cells and throughout the body. Oxygen is necessary, so breathing good air is necessary for cellular health. Sunlight is necessary in bringing in vitamin D for the immune system, and that needs to be working properly in order to make this whole body work. And some of us will eat like crap, not go outside, not get sunlight, not move our body, not drink water, and then wonder why our supplements aren't giving us the results that we might need, or wonder why our scanner isn't giving us the results that we might expect. Wonder why the sound therapy and the quantum wellness portal isn't producing the effect that we might try to have on it when we listen to our sound therapy or print our infoceuticals. And those of us who are in natural health, everything is broken down to a frequency, whether this is a supplement or an infoceutical or a quantum entanglement. We're looking at the frequency of things, the frequency in our body, or the frequency surrounding our body, or the frequency given to our body, whether or not we're taking a homeopathic or a patch or something that we're giving our body in order to resonate a specific frequency. Well, water is vital to that process. Water, not juice, not coffee, not tea, but water. And a system that's not hydrated won't be able to take quantum energy and do with it what a hydrated system can do. A non-hydrated body can't take sound therapy and do with it what a hydrated body can do. In my practice, I have one of the devices that I use. Well, one of the devices is called Zyto. It is a biofeedback device you put your hand on, and it reads the energy from your hand. And when I have people in that are extremely dehydrated, and very often these are elderly people because they've gone decades without hydrating their cells, the system can't even read their energy because there is not enough hydration there on a cellular level. And so it becomes a little bit, I have to do other things in order to get that scan going. Another scan that I do is a meridian scan where you're touching points on the body with a device. And so often it can't read the energy coming out of the meridians because the system isn't hydrated. And these are physical things. And the same is true when it comes to all energy, energetic things, meaning utilizing devices that might be contacting a person. There is a documentary called I think it's called The Memory of Water. I think that's going to be our next quantum watch party. And it goes over how water stores memory. The reason that water can store memory is because water is scientifically and genetically um, um, in the same frequency as energy. Water holds energy very, very well. And your body uses that water to transport energy throughout itself, and it utilizes that same thing to transfer energy everywhere. Meaning, you water your plants, you feed your animals, you water your lawn, and there is cellular memory or memory inside of the water that can help to enhance that whole process. So I say all of this to say, when we are trying to figure out why we don't have necessarily the health that we're after, start asking ourselves whether or not we are dealing in foundational health. Have you been drinking enough water? Have you been getting sunlight? Have you been getting movement? Have you been eating in a way that's productive to health? Are you getting oxygen? Are you doing the things that what you are depending on to work? Well, let me say it like this. The things that you are depending on to work, those things are all depending on you to have the fundamentals in play for them to work. And if you dismiss the fundamentals and still expect the next phase to work, then you have gone about this whole thing the wrong way. If you wanted to drive from Chicago to Texas, but you skipped the step of actually getting in your car and then wondered how you aren't there yet, people would look at you and ask other questions. And they would start asking more detailed questions. And eventually there might be another knock on the door to help to pick you up because you might need help in other areas of life. I mean, I'm making a joke, but that is how unrealistic our expectations of what we want our bodies to do without giving it what it needs in order to be able to do it. But when you do that, when you get your fundamentals in place, the body can do miraculous things. And most of us have tools that will help to expedite that process. But if the fundamentals are not at play, then forget about it working to that same way.